Do you get money to home educate? Definitely not. And do you get money to home educate usually means from government. The, some people think that the government pays you to home educate your children. I don't think they do that. Well, they actually don't do that. Not I don't think they don't do that. They don't do that. Why would they pay for you to do something that goes against sending them to schools which are readily available, which are there to create a workforce and implement certain ideas into the children? Why would any government then encourage home education? Because by paying people to home educate, that means they're actually encouraging it. I don't know, there might be some cases of maybe children who have special needs and maybe their needs cannot be met in school and the government can't provide those services. Maybe for them there would be, but obviously those are exceptions. For the general person, no, there's no money for home education. You have to make your own money. And for me, it worked in the sense that my husband is the one who works for earning the household income while I focus on the children. So I don't have to worry about bills, the rent, or anything like that. And it helps working as a team. I just added some vanilla extract to this. There's butter, sugar, and vanilla extract. So it helps to work as a team for a common goal. So I decided to stay at home full time, but we run a business as well. So there have been occasions over the years, especially when we first started, when we couldn't employ people, that I would go and help towards the business. For example, when we initially started, we're doing a web design business. My husband is more of a designer. He's into graphics. And we couldn't afford to employ a coder because at that time we had to code the websites. There were no the current platforms that people use that you can code websites without even knowing coding. Like you can make websites without even knowing coding. So at that time those services were not available. So he asked me if I could learn coding, which was namely CSS and HTML, so that I can help with the business side of things. And that's what I did. And then we'll help each other. And while I'm helping with the business side of things, he'll be watching the children. So it was always teamwork in that sense. So if you want to do home education, you have to think about your finances. You don't have to be rich to home educate. Actually, one of the reasons I started home education is because we're not rich. We didn't have much money. I couldn't afford private schools. So that's why I decided to do it myself, because it's way cheaper to do that. So you look at what you can afford. The good thing about home education is it's tailor-made. You tailor-make it to suit your personal circumstances. So if you don't have much money, you do it according to your means. If you have a lot of money, and in between, everything in between is catered for in home education. When we first started, the finances were not very good. So I went with what we had. As the years progressed, money was coming in. We got more options to do certain things with the children that we couldn't afford earlier on. So that's when we added things like horse riding, tennis, swimming, what else did we add? Gymnastics, sailing, and holidays. And with the holidays, they were also gradual. When we started earning some money as well, more than we had before, and could afford some holidays, the good thing about home education is you can do term time holidays. So we started doing term time holidays, which are a lot cheaper, in caravan parks by the sea. You would find that even with £100, you can have a weekend away in a caravan. So we started with those holidays once a year. to suit our budget, because that's all we could afford. And I remember even the very first holiday, we knew we wouldn't be able to buy food while there. So we packed some food that we had in the house. We packed some groceries, put them all in the car, and then just went there, enjoyed the time away, and actually cooked. We cooked while we were there. And it was all about the experience of being away from home and being in a different environment. And some of these holiday places, they allow you to pay in installments. So you can book your holiday a year in advance, 6 months in advance, and just pay in installments. Or if you want, you can save your money somewhere in your own piggy bank somewhere and then pay for it. But sometimes it's nice to just pay to the holiday directly, and you have something to actually look forward to rather than just putting it in a piggy bank, because you're not so motivated if you do that. For some people, they're not. So just knowing that you're paying for a holiday and this is where the money is going, is just nice. And the holiday payments are interest free as well. I like to use my baking trays, reuse my baking paper on the baking trays. So I have baked some cookies on this one. It's still good to use. I use it until I can't use it anymore. Throw it away before I get the next one. So I like to weigh my cookies. Home education is fantastic because you custom make it. You custom make it according to your income. So when you begin to make more money, you can add more things to it. When you also lose money, you can, custom make and readjust to what you can afford. So for me, when all we could afford were charts and books, which were about £1 each or so, sometimes even £2 for £1 at that time, because I started home educating about maybe how many years ago? Quite a long time ago. My eldest now is 23 this year. 2023 this year. So charts, I got books, 2 for £1, or stuff like that. And great thing is storybooks. Now you can find storybooks in charity shops. You always could, really, in charity shops. Sometimes you get books for 50p, 2 for $1, 2 for £1, or sometimes even 3 for £1. So it can be like that. And for sport, you can just do PE, because I think sport is very important. There are videos out there. You can take them to the park. They can go on the swings, on slides. That's all part of active. That's all part of exercise when they go out there and just be outside in nature. And the good thing is you can do this all year round. You don't just go to the park in summer, even though it's nicer weather. But it depends where you live. If you live somewhere in England, if you really wait for hot days, you would not do much at all. So like I've always said, dress for the weather. If you dress for the weather, you'll be perfectly fine in whatever weather. Base layers, warm, thermals, and you're good to go. So, and then later on, we added things like gymnastics for my children. I tended to make them do similar sport, so that when we take one, I take all of them to the same thing. So they all had a double in, let's say, gymnastics, especially the other 3 that came later on. The first 2 didn't do gymnastics. They started with tennis. And then so I know I'm taking all 3 of them for tennis or swimming or gymnastics, and then I can just sit there and watch them until they finish. So they all doubled in similar sports over the years, because there's no way I was going to try 4 different sports at 4 different times as a person. No, it was not. So I'd rather go to swimming, even if one person starts at 3 o'clock, the next one is at 3:30, the next one is at 6 o'clock. I would rather do that all in one day and know I'm going to be at swimming on this particular day. And of course, you have to pay for that. You just look at your finances, see what you can afford comfortably, and see what sports you can, get your children to do. And there are some sports, obviously, that are cheaper than others and more expensive than others. And again, look at your budget, see what you can do comfortably and pay, because no one's going to pay you to do that. You have to have your own finances. And can you home educate while working? Yes, you can. I know families that do that. Can you home educate as a single parent? Of course you can. And I do know people who do that. But obviously the logistics will be slightly different. It would work best if you have family around to help you. Some people have part-time working hours that they go to work and drop off their children, or somebody comes and watches their child, usually family, so that you don't have to pay. Because if you have limited income and you have to take some money out of that for childcare, then that wouldn't really work. Another thing is, some people, there's something called flexi schooling nowadays. It's not widely available. A lot of head teachers don't like it, so people don't tend to do it as much. But if you find a school where a head teacher allows flexi schooling, it's something to look into. And flexi schooling is when children go to school part-time. So you can decide that, okay, I want my children to go to school on maybe Mondays, and then you can have your job on a Monday, and then your children can go to school on the Monday, and you know that childcare is taken care of. So that's another option to look at. I have looked into it previously, just to see what the options were available. And there are actually groups on Facebook that I've seen where people share their location and schools that they've actually come across, or where their children actually go, that have allowed flexi schooling. And this is up to the discretion of the head teacher. They don't have to allow it, but some do, some don't. Those who don't usually state reasons like attendance, and it will look bad on attendance. I don't know how much of an impact one child or a few children will have, because I'm sure flexi schooling is not a default for most children. So just look at your finances, see what you can afford. Don't let your financial situation stop you from home educating, because it is an option, it's doable, and you can custom make it according to your budget. Another way to comfortably afford home education, especially if you're a single parent, is to start an online business, because the online business is long term, obviously. So if you don't have children, or you have very young children who haven't started school yet, start your business now, so that by the time your children need to start home education, it's already established, and then it's beginning to give you an income, so you can be flexible. One way of earning money is to do something that you like, you enjoy, a skill that you have that you can share with other people. It's one way of making money. If you've been doing a certain job, career for a long time, maybe you're at a stage that you can actually be a consultant. You can do that at the time, and consult online, build your business up, learn how to record, how to edit videos, and then those will be very helpful at the time. And you can record courses which can be played back over and over again, especially if you have evergreen content. That's all you need to do, is record it once and it's out there. You can even start a YouTube channel and have some extra income, even if it starts off with an extra £50, $50, whichever currency you use, every month, building up. Maybe it's even to $100 a month. That's still extra money that you've already put in the work previously, and now you're just benefiting from it. So these cookies are baked until just slightly golden brown underneath. On the top, it should still be whitish, no browning on top, because if they brown on top, that means they'll be too hard and too crunchy. So I've just left these on the cooling rack and I'm leaving them to cool completely. Great with, just eating them on their own with a cup of tea. Were you worried about any disadvantages? And if you were, what were the disadvantages? Put them in the comments and I will have a look and then I can respond to them. These self-seal bags, I bought them on Temu. I'll put the link in the description below. They all come in various sizes. I actually bought this size by mistake, but it's actually a great size for a single cookie or even 2 cookies. So it's a good size, but if you want more, then you can look for bigger packaging. The dimensions are there on the website, and so you choose the one that you think will work out best for you. Even the stickers, I'll also put a link for the stickers if you want them. These cookies are so easy to make, and even kids can make these. It can be one of those things that you do as home educating parents with your kids, or if they're old enough, you can let them do it. Which one do you think is better, 1 or 2 in the packaging? I think 1 for this particular one. Yeah, thanks for watching and see you again soon.